Hello, everybody. It's good to see you again. This is Dan Hales with Modern Trust, here to talk about a few trust matters that you might be interested in, especially during vacation season. Tomorrow's going to be June 1st. Some of you are already planning vacations, or maybe you've been on a vacation. You might be traveling through different places in the United States, and you might even own properties in different states. Some people might have a California living trust that was created in California, but maybe they're wondering if they go to another state. Let's say you travel to Florida. A lot of people like to go there. They really love the environment. It's beautiful. And they say, wow, what if I bought a property here in Florida? Maybe I'll even move to Florida so I don't have to pay income taxes, state income taxes anymore. But in the meantime, if you buy a property in Florida, and you have a California living trust or a living trust in some other state, can you put your property in Florida into your living trust in the state where you created it? And the answer is yes. A living trust should be valid and legal anywhere in the United States, in all 50 states. And even though the trust is just created in one state, you can put real estate or other assets and accounts in any other state in the United States into that trust. You just have to be sure the title is done correctly. So if you're on vacation and you roll into Miami and you think, wow, I want to buy a condominium here, and you hire an agent and you go into escrow, and the escrow agent says to you on the closing date or before closing, how do you want to hold title to this new condominium or apartment in Miami? You're going to say, you're going to hear the word title and you're going to remember, oh, I have a living trust. I should title my Florida property in my living trust, even if your living trust is established in another state. And so the name on the deed is going to say your name as trustee of, and then the complete name and date of your living trust. So one trust created in one state will be valid to hold real estate in all the other states. I mean, you could have real estate or property or land or farmland in any number of different states. So it's not uncommon for me to see when I'm talking to a client, they have the living trust and they might have property or acreage in half a dozen different states throughout the United States. And they don't have to have half a dozen different living trusts. You only need one living trust. Just make sure that when you buy something in another state, you put the title into that trust. And then once you've done that, that's the key. Title is the key, because title determines ownership, and title should be in the name of the trust. But what you also have to do, after you've acquired these different properties, hopefully in different states, then you have to keep a list of where your assets are. So someday, if you're gone, your successor trustee takes over, and they're going to pull out your trust document, and they're going to look at it, and they're going to see, wow, my father, mother, grandfather, whoever's trust it is, has properties in all these different states. So it's very important not only title the property in the name of the living trust, but keep a list of your assets. Title your assets correctly, and then make a list of all the real estate, bank accounts, CDs, money markets, investment brokerage accounts, any type of asset that's in the trust. Put it on a list on 1 or 2 pages if you can, and keep that with your living trust so that your family knows where all the money is. Think of that list as a treasure map, because the trust is only going to say who gets what and when you're gone. And usually it might just say, give my estate 50-50 to my 2 children. But the trust itself doesn't typically list all of the individual assets and properties, because those are always changing. People buy and sell things. You might buy a condominium in Florida and have great intentions of going there, and after 6 or 7 years, if you never made it back there at all and you're having trouble renting it out, maybe you're going to sell it, and then you're going to buy something in what's another great place that people are moving today. Nashville, Tennessee, North Carolina, Washington. Idaho is really popular. In fact, I think Idaho is the #1 place where people were moving to recently because of the nature there and the good climate and so forth. So assets change, but the trust won't change. So since assets are changing, the only thing that's changing is the asset list on the trust, and that's just 1 or 2 pages. that's something you can update on a regular basis and just keep it with your trust documents so your family can find the money. Where's the money? Well, only you know where it is unless you keep a list. So if you keep a list, then your family's going to know where to look. It can be confidential, but it's got to be available to them. And make sure your successor trustee knows where your trust documents and the list or the treasure map is. There are more than $6 billion in the United States each year that are lost because family members couldn't find it. Money in bank accounts, insurance policies, and even real estate. And when that money's not claimed because family doesn't know it's there, it's not on the list, it escheats back to the state where the account or the property is held. So don't become a statistic. Keep a list of assets in writing, not just in your head, because when you're gone, nobody can read your mind anymore. Make the list of assets, keep it with your trust documents, and update it once a year. And wherever you own things in the United States of America, real estate, businesses, or bank accounts, make sure they're titled in the name of your living trust. And that's not to say that everything needs to go in a trust. There are certain things, right, we've talked about this before, that don't have to go into a trust. Assets with certain beneficiaries or tax-deferred retirement accounts, you're not necessarily going to put those into a trust. You're just going to name a beneficiary on your IRA or your 401k or your 403b or whatever type of tax-deferred retirement account it is. Those types of things generally don't go into trusts because you'll name your own beneficiaries on there. But for most of your other assets, again, not to be too repetitive here, but it's important, real estate, bank accounts, investments, businesses. And when I say businesses, I mean your corporation, your limited liability company, your partnership, your sole proprietorship. All those things need to be titled in the name of the trust. And where else you want to put it? That's right, on the list, so they can find it if they ever need to. Well, have a great weekend, travel weekend, and buy some property in another state. Diversify your holdings. Good luck, everybody.